Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Marty Time TV. It is Friday, and there is no better way to end this week and start the weekend than talking to the biggest Padres fan I know. And also, he happens to be my very favorite NFL draft analyst. He's not busy at all. Daniel Jeremiah, how are you?
I'm doing great, Marty. Congratulations on the new show, the new landing spot here. It's first of all, it's a great idea. It's great to have you back, and San Diego loves you, and it's fun to have a good baseball team to keep talking about.
It is a lot of fun. It is. I want to go ahead and start there. And I was going to thank you today because normally I would say, listen, you're doing me a huge favor. But after watching your latest podcast, I Moved the Sticks with Bucky Brooks, and the way you signed off, I'm actually here for you. I'm here to help you out of your funk because you were clearly depressed about Fernando Tatis Jr., the Jackson Merrill injury. I mean, you made sure that Bucky knew, hey, the Padres are in first place right now, best record in baseball. Yeah. But you're bummed out, man. How you doing?
Well, it's tough. Here's the thing. Like, I believe in the team, and I had this same thought through this whole thing. We need to just hang in it till we get to the deadline. By the time we get to the deadline, a lot of our good young prospects, they're all at the lower levels. They'll have more of a track record. AJ will build up their value, and he'll be able to go shop. He'll be able to fill our holes but gosh, we just got to stay in it until then. And when you're looking at Fernando wincing in pain, I was like, oy. Like, I know Jackson Merrill going on the IL was smart. Let that hamstring calm down. Not as worried there. Cronenworth sound like cramps. Like, doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Yeah. But it's hard to envision this team doing anything without Tatis, and then him wincing in pain with his shoulder. That one freaked me out a little bit.
So you're more concerned about the Tatis thing than clearly on Merrill.
Yeah. To me, everything he does is real violent. He's so explosive and so powerful, but everything he does is so hard. He runs after balls in the outfield hard. He slides into bases even when he's going feet first. Like the way he swings, how violent his swing is. And then with Jackson, he's just more of an effortless, smooth, mover. And those guys tend to be able to work their way through injuries because they don't necessarily have to be, running 100% to be able to play really well. And the other thing I was thinking of Padre wise on this injury front, do you know how many times I hear from people like that know I'm a Padre fan, and they're all mostly Dodger fans, right, Marty?
Right.
And maybe you hear
Andrew Howard, probably Greg Rosenthal.
This one wasn't Andrew, but it maybe has in the past. They all bang on Manny for like him not running to first base, and
we're still doing that.
Because if you watch the games, you'll see it. I mean, he's literally like some borderline walking. I'm like, yeah, that's how this guy posts 155 times every single year because he's not doing that. And then he plays great defense and hits well. So I'm okay with him not running to first base. But I think that people that don't watch him day after day, year after year, don't appreciate the durability that guy has.
Yeah, he's been something. He's been Mr. Reliable. So how much were you believing in this Padres fast start? Up until, listen, it's good pretend the injury didn't happen, but how much of how inspired were you by this? Or was it just like, listen, it's a very, very small sample size?
Well, I think that the knowns have all delivered. I think we all would say, like, you've got to have Bogart's got to play better, which he, you look at it 2 years ago, he had a solid year. I think everybody kind of forgot about his first year there. It was solid. If he just gives you that, that's a big upgrade over last year.
But he's being judged by his contract. He's being judged by his contract. Sure. Like that, his numbers, what he's posting does not measure up to what they're paying him to be.
For sure. But right now he's at least getting on base, hitting for some average. So he's been better. That was part of the calculus. You need the stars to be stars. Fernando in the leadoff spot looks like a different, he's in his element. He looks so comfortable up there. I wasn't worried about Jackson. I knew about all those guys. My thing was, okay, Vasquez, like, what does he look like? Hart, one stinker, one good one. I don't have a lot of confidence there. But then, like, Sheets adding what he's added to the mix against right-handers. So this team needed some surprises. And so far, I think Vasquez and Sheets would probably be the two biggest ones. And to be honest, the catchers actually haven't hit terrible. I thought they were going to be awful.
Right. But they've been a surprise. I mean, they're there for their defense, right? But not for their offense. Or anything they do is like an added bonus.
Yeah. So. But I just feel like if we can just get to the trade deadline, like, and be in it, I would imagine left field and catcher that those would be a direction that they would go.
I'm surprised when this roster was put together, when the Padres announced, who was going to be on this opening day roster. Were you surprised that who was included, whether it's Gurriel versus Connor Joe or Oscar Gonzalez?
Yeah, I think what the thought process, the more I looked at it, because initially I thought, okay, yeah, those other guys will make it. They just look better in the spring. But I think if you say it's 162 games and there's, the raw number of at bats and innings we have to fill. If we take those other guys, we lose these old guys. They're gone. They're out of the organization. Whereas we start with maybe we get a little luck. I mean, even like Nelson Cruz hit for a little bit before, his age showed. Like, give you at least a couple weeks. I want to say like a Sunday night game against the Braves. He might have had like 4 or 5 RBIs. Like, okay, we'll just squeeze the last little drop out of these old guys, and then we don't lose the other guys. We still control them, and then those guys can come in and trying to spread out, how you're going to cover all these innings and at bats. So I understand it, but it doesn't make watching Yuli
Gurriel.
Forever. Gosh, he's not fun to watch.
No, he's not. It's kind of agonizing, and I just think that I think there was an element of Padres fans are almost rooting against him. He had the big RBI, the final game in Sacramento, just because they want to move on and get onto something else.
I can't imagine he's here at the All-Star break.
I know that he's a friend of Manny's, and they worked out together in Miami, and all this and that. But I mean, that isn't it. I want to mention that this show is brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. DJ, I don't know how you have time to go ahead and break down the Padres during all your prep for the NFL draft. I'm going to get to that because I caught your excellent recent podcast with Bucky Brooks, and you were talking about how you take notes with multicolored pens. Is that true? All these years I've known you, and I never knew you were a multi-pen guy.
Yeah, I used to actually have the individual multicolored pen.
Oh yes, so those are handy.
That one had the little things on the top. You can change all the different colors. But now I just use different color pens. But it's a good way to keep track of the games. So in other words, I'm trying to pull up a sheet here if I can find one. Let me just see here. I've done a couple of these guys. Let's see. I'll find one. Let's see. Okay, like this has some highlights, but. So you'll see like at the top, see how it'll have like the names. So it'll have the games, like the games you watch will be in the different colors.
Yes.
And then that correlates with that. So then when I'm going through my notes and on Shooter Sanders and I'm saying, okay, drops his arm angle, drives a ball touchdown. Well, that's green. So that was the K-State game. So if I'm ever referencing certain throws from certain games or certain moments, it's not just like, oh gosh, which game was that? It's a way you can stay organized, Marty.
If you were scouting a Padres game, if you were taking notes on a Padres game, what color pen would you be using?
Ooh, man, that would be hard to take notes on a baseball game. I think, maybe you just go 2 colors, offense, defense. So you just kind of have what you're seeing with guys that way. Maybe pitching could get its own color if you wanted to, but you probably in baseball, everything is so much slower.
Yeah.
I don't know. You even just get your blue pen. I go blue over black, and then you're good.
I know you talked about not making comparisons. You don't want to compare this player to that player, but what would be the NFL? I'm going to go ahead and bring your 2 loves together, right? The San Diego Padres and the NFL. What would be your NFL comparison for the Padres? What team best represents what they are? A combination of some older superstars and some young talent, which is personified by Tatis and Merrill.
Okay, I will actually go with somewhat similar to that. I'll go with the Buffalo Bills because I feel like you've got a team that you would think with the talent they've had that maybe we would have got one within the last 5 years.
This is going to be the year. This is the year.
They've been in this nice little 5-year run where they're so close. And that would be Buffalo for me. And then like Josh Allen, kind of probably maybe Fernando, just so toolsy and gifted and kind of a rare talent that way.
Can't take your eyes off him when he has the football.
Yeah. So that would be a similar one in terms of like team with young talent. Like I was trying to think of if I was going to make a football comparison for Jackson Merrill, like who is just young and smooth. He's not as flashy as Justin Jefferson, but everything Justin Jefferson does just looks so easy and such an easy mover and a fluid mover, and literally stepped right into the NFL and just started dominating. That would probably be my individual comparison.
Okay,
he is, by the way. I guess Judge is not playing center field anymore. Like who's a better center fielder in baseball than him right now?
Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I can't think of one. I think he might already be. That's crazy. Has he turned 22 yet? Or it's coming up?
He is 22 this month.
Yeah. And already arguably the best center fielder in the entire sport. It's pretty good.
It's just remarkable. I had Buster Olney on the show yesterday, and he was talking about Jackson Merrill and his extension, and the
What he
comparisons
said?
he made. It was. I mean, he was comparing him he called it arrogant confidence. Like
Like,
he was
okay,
right. That's the word that he used for
like
him.
competitive. Did he say competitive?
I'm
Arrogance?
sorry. I'm sorry. Competitive arrogance.
Yeah, that's the
My
phrase. Yeah,
goodness.
yeah.
Competitive
Competitive
arrogance is
arrogance is a good term. Yeah.
yeah, and he said that Tony Gwynn had that sort of mentality, like you're not going to get me out. I mean, I
Mhm.
already know I'm going to go out there and I'm going to get a hit. Right, pop it through the 5.5 hole. He mentioned Derek Jeter had that same sort of competitive arrogance. I'm like, wow,
Interesting.
those are some lofty comparisons when you're talking about just Jackson Merrill, man, 21 years old.
Somebody
Did
told
you,
me in baseball.
yeah.
I honestly don't even remember what it was. I don't remember. I don't think it was AJ, but somebody had mentioned the character like makeup like Jeter comment. Might have been a
Hmm.
scout, a baseball scout with Merrill. This is a couple of years ago. Like they talk about calling your shot. I mean, look, he's got a long way to go.
Hmm.
When you think about what Derek Jeter's done, but just in terms of a makeup and kind of
Hmm.
the, bringing everybody else up with him, that's good company.
I think it's so unusual. I was telling Buster this as well. Like I've never covered a player quite like him. Just with in terms of the skill set and the
Mhm.
maturity, that's rare. It's rare in life, and it's definitely rare in sports when you're around the type of just the aura that you're around.
Yeah, I've
The
met him.
players.
Met him down on the field last year and got to talk to him for maybe like 10, 15 minutes.
I remember that.
And the thing that stood out to me of the whole conversation was I'm always infatuated with, kind of overcoming adversity. And we talk
Hmm.
about it in football all the time. And I'm just curious to get inside the mind of a baseball player because in football, dealing with failure, a lot of these kids, high first round picks, they were, 5-star in high school, dominated. They were the best player on their college team, dominated. And you get in the NFL and then they hit some adversity. And some guys, famously can't handle it. And that ends up dooming their career. So I was like in baseball with a sport of failure where there's constant, failure and slumps and prolonged, frustration. Like I'm like, how have you dealt with that as a young player? Like you had a little bit of a rut. Like how have you dealt with it? And he literally just like, it's baseball, whatever. It's just like he had such like a nonchalant, like I don't care. Like I know I'm good. I'll know I'll come out of it. I'm not gonna get too worried if things aren't going well.
I hope hopefully he's gonna be okay. Hopefully today at Petco Park. I'm not sure if you're gonna be there, DJ. I'm not sure if you have time to go to Petco Park with all
I'm gonna
your
sneak.
draft.
I don't know if I make it 9 innings, but I'm gonna sneak down there tonight.
Okay, well, if you are,
Playing
I'll
the
look for you.
Rockies, though, I'm a little
I
nervous
know.
about.
Listen, you can't overlook the Rockies. That was to me, that was a signature low point. I had that marked down. If I had a pen, I would have that in red pen. I'd be using red ink because that to me was like the signature low. They got swept, outscored by like 50 runs. I'm exaggerating a little bit on the Rockies. I remember Mike Schultz' answer, we weren't outplayed. I'm like, wait, you got swept.
Yeah,
You were shut out in these games. What do you
just
mean
ran
you
out
weren't
of time,
outplayed?
Marty. Just ran out of time. That's all.
Oh,
Just ran out of innings.
so
By the way,
when
give me
you're
your Schilt. Give me your Schilt takeaways so far. Now it's been over a year. What do you think?
he for whatever reason he works. He works with these players, and he's changed a little bit. Do you remember how he used to be so exuberant and enthusiastic every single game? Like he could not leave a press conference last year, win or lose, without shouting out like accolades for every single player. If Mike Schilt could, I'm not exaggerating. He would be giving game balls to every single player after a game. Like
Mm-hmm.
he would, Steven, hey, how about Steven? Hey, the Padres just lost, I don't know, 15-0. But hey, this happened. He wanted to make sure he wanted to go ahead and shout guys out. I just think it was like a learning process. He had I know he was comfortable with like Jackson Merrill because he saw him in the minor leagues, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I just think that he had to really prove himself to the veterans. And for whatever reason, his approach worked. The way that he dealt with them, they seem to like it. So and he and AJ seem to get along, which is important because I don't care what these guys. They all knew. They all were very well aware of the rift between Bob and AJ. That was the worst kept secret in baseball.
Yeah, that sounds like it. And
Yeah.
my takeaway on Schilt is a couple things. Number one, he loves baseball. Like you can tell he's
Hmm.
passionate about it. He loves talking about it.
Hmm.
You see him. Even I always just watch like the body language after games when they go through the handshake line.
Yeah.
They come up. The players initiate hugs with him. Like it's not
Yeah.
like he's the aggressive one. Like they like him. And the other thing is just like the first to third stuff that they've done, like the double steal that they pulled off.
Hmm.
Like you can tell like he is detail oriented. They focus on
Yes.
those things, and that's where that Cardinals background came in. It just looked like, oh, they play good baseball. And I watch a lot of Dodger games because there's a little stagger, which is good for a baseball fan, and that Padres are 640, and then the Dodgers are 710. So usually the Padre game ends, and I'll watch like the last couple innings of the Dodgers because look, I can't stand them, but it's fun to watch a team that everybody's obsessed with. So
it's fun. It is a lot of fun. They have star power too, so that's fun.
Yeah, and as much as I don't like the Dodgers, like a lot of the individual players, they're Freddie Freeman and Mookie and those Teoscar Hernandez, those are great players. They're fun to watch play baseball, but they are not buttoned up. Like their base running's not good, their defense is not good. Like a lot of the things that I appreciate about the Padre team. Like that team is not quite as buttoned up as like a Cardinals team or those good Yankee teams, like the great teams of the past.
Are you talking about the fundamentals? They do all the little things right. That's something that Jason Hayward actually mentioned, that this team is doing the little things that you need to do well to win in the postseason, which is execution, the base running defense. Yes, just small ball. They're playing a lot more small ball, and it's just like that's been noticeable. And I'm glad you pointed out the whole thing of the handshakes. Like that has been noticeable for me when I'm at these games for pregame batting practice. All the time he spends with Manny or Merrill, Tatis, or just different players in the team. A lot more conversation seems to be happening. And maybe it happened with Bob behind the scenes. I don't know. Yeah. I just know that when I was covering Bob Melvin, he would be dressed and dressed, showered out that door pretty much as we were walking in the clubhouse. Like I have never seen a manager vacate so quickly in my life. Maybe he wanted to get away from AJ or some of his people. I don't know what it was. Yeah. I just thought it was really kind of unusual because, usually you stick around for a while. You might open up a beer and have a drink with your coaches or something like that, or talk ball. But man, Bob Melvin, out that door.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure it's like this in other places too. Like there's some guys who just didn't necessarily work. Like, that doesn't mean he's not good at his job. And you see it with players, you see it with coaches, all those things, like just the fit, just wasn't the right fit. So by all accounts, it seems like there's a good relationship there at the top of the organization, and they're playing good baseball. They're playing hard. I think the goal of any team, whether you're in, football, baseball, basketball, whatever, is okay, wherever our ceiling is, like we might not have as high a ceiling as other people, but we're going to get to that ceiling as much as possible. And I think this team is doing that. I think they're maximizing what they have 100%.
You have brought out the Dodgers a couple of different times. And I will tell you this, that yesterday that, I had Buster Olney in the show, and I'm not sure.
Ask him?
I did ask him. I told you he was coming on the show, and everyone thinks that Buster hates their favorite team, the Padres, or this or that, right? And of course, he'll be in LA this weekend for Sunday Night Baseball, Dodgers and the Cubs. But I asked him your question. Let's go ahead. I'll give you let me show you guys what this was about. Okay, Buster, I'm not sure if you're a huge NFL fan or not. But one of the biggest.
I got a Alan Page Vikings jersey back here. Lifelong Vikings fan.
Okay, you're qualified then. Oh, really? Then very nice. Shout out Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings from San Diego State. He is fantastic. I have a question from a friend of mine who is a huge Padres fan, and he also happens to be the lead analyst, NFL analyst for NFL Network. His name is Daniel Jeremiah. He knew you were coming on the show today. He has a question for you. How can we call the Dodgers the best team of all time when they are poor defensively at shortstop, third base, center field, and right field? The bottom of the lineup is very average too. Buster, your response to Daniel Jeremiah.
So, I love the question. The one thing that has become clear early in the year is they are a subpar defensive team. And it's so interesting because you remember after they beat the Yankees in the World Series, what did we hear from all their players? We knew the Yankees were going to make mistakes. They're not a very good defensive team. And we're looking at the Dodgers now. Tommy Evans, a good defender. Freddie Freeman is a good defensive first baseman. But besides that, it's not close. They compared to like the Cubs, who are probably right now baseball's best defensive teams. So there's a vulnerability there. Now, over the course of the regular season, it's the best team that I've ever seen in terms of their depth. It hasn't fully manifested yet because Freddie's been hurt.
Right.
And Mookie, lost all that weight.
Right.
But in the regular season, the quality of at bats from the very top to the very bottom, in addition to, this is the best bullpen that Dave Roberts has ever managed. I mean, I had one GM describe it as, they got a bunch of closers like throughout their whole group, all these guys who who could be guys who could be racking up saves for other teams, and their rotation depth, which they're clearly going to need. At some point in the second half, they're going to have Shohei Ohtani back. I think late June is sort of the target area.
Is that right?
Yeah. Clayton Kershaw, he's going to be back at some point. He probably get 15 starts. They do have a lot of options in the rotation that other teams are jealous of. And we'll see. But I think they're going to hit so well that they could wind up threatening that Seattle record of 160.
Okay, so that was
You asked it. I could have soft sold it a little bit with the question. I asked kind of a firm question. You relayed a very firm question there as well. So I was great on your part.
I try to do that nearly verbatim. So There you go. But listen, he talked about the potential of what could be coming. Who knows with Ohtani, what he's going to look like when he comes back. It's Ohtani, so I would never doubt him. Blake Snell, this is going to be a shock to you. Brace yourself. He's on the IL right now, but listen, he'll be fine. Towards the end,
he'll be unhittable in the second half of the season.
He's going to torment, I'm sure, Padres fans when he faces them, or maybe not. And Sasaki, that's another conversation for another day. He might spend some time in AAA. I don't know that anyone's expecting him to come up here right away and be that ace. He's going to maybe take some time, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I look in the lineup and I see at the bottom of the lineup almost, and I know Freddie Freeman is out, but I see Kike Hernandez who's hitting the buck something. I see Max Muncy who strikes out like crazy. He's hitting a buck something. Andy Pages is not, an elite level player. He's a terrible defensive center fielder. So I'm like, look, I get the depth. Like they've got a bazillion starting pitchers and their bullpen is awesome. And they have the studs up there at the very top, and Teoscar Hernandez is incredible, but as a hitter. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to throw out the term like this is the best team of all time. Like I think your lineup's got to be deeper than that. And I would think you've got to be a little bit more reliable in terms of the availability of your starting pitching and the defense. I don't know. That is not. It is a great point that Buster Olney brought up about this is a team that was mocking the Yankees after the World Series last year about how bad they were defensively, and then proceeded to take maybe the top 3 defensive right fielder of all time and cave in and let him play shortstop, which is bizarre to me.
So if you ever hear from those your Dodger friends who probably text you, after any Padres loss, you can say, "Listen, did you hear what Buster said about their defensive deficiency? He agreed with me."
I know, but here's the thing, Marty. As a Padre fan, you don't want them to continue to be this bad defensively because if they are, they're going to go out and get 3 Gold Glovers at the trade
100%.
deadline.
They're going to trade for somebody.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Last year, like Tommy Edman, San Diego kid. That changed their team. He was unbelievable in the postseason.
And you're absolutely right. And by the way, I know he mentioned it's the best bullpen that Dave Roberts has managed. He's also had some pretty bad bullpens, so I'm not sure. And by the way,
their bullpen. Shoot, we can score a run off of them. So
that's true.
That's legit. I give them their flowers.
And they have Tanner Scott who tormented them. But the Padres bullpen
I feel good about
the
Padres back 4 too, and I'm excited whenever Bradley Rodriguez gets a chance to come up. I want to see that kid pitch. He's going to be a good one.
I actually wonder. I know that we heard a lot of trade rumors, mostly around Dylan Cease and Michael King, and the idea they were trying to shop Robert Suarez as well, which they could still do. How confident would you be Jason Adam as a closer?
I'd be super confident. To me, him and Estrada, I'd feel good about with closing stuff. Marhones continues to, be a high leverage guy. I don't think I'd want him as a closer, but he's stayed healthy in this role. And smart by him. I think Schilt had said there was discussions early in the offseason about maybe trying to build him back up to be a starter. And it sounded like it was Marhones' decision to say, nah, and I'm comfortable where I am. And smart, because he's seen what some of these relievers are getting, going, dude, I can be a lockdown left-handed power reliever and actually stay healthy, which I haven't been able to do as a starter. Don't change. Just be that guy.
DJ, thank you so much for doing this. I do need to mix in some NFL questions because I'm dying to talk NFL. The draft is 2 weeks from yesterday. When you're at Petco Park, by the way, do you spend more time talking Padres if you run into AJ Preller, or the NFL about his New York Giants, whether or not Jameis Winston is a fix or whether or not they're going to go ahead and follow your mock draft and take Shedeur Sanders?
Yeah, I haven't been at a game with him this year. Haven't run into him there this year, but normally it's a heavily football dominated conversation. But he loves the New York Giants. So we always have a good time talking about that. More than anything else, just talking about players and evaluating. And
Scouting.
I'm always down for those conversations, but it's a weird draft. We were talking on our podcast this morning, and I tried to think of themes, like what are the themes of this particular draft, like the 30,000 foot view. And the three I came away with was starters, not stars, like a lot of star players. You're looking for that. You're going to probably be disappointed. But if you're looking to fortify kind of the middle of your roster, you can find those guys in this draft. It's a traits versus production debate. Like we've got a lot of defensive linemen with incredible traits and no production. Then we've got guys with incredible production and maybe some limited physical traits. So teams trying to balance out that in the process. And the last one was positional value versus quality of player. This is a draft that's unusual where I think 3 of my top 7 players are 2 tight ends and a running back.
Wow.
Which is not normal, but they're good players, and we don't have the big time impact players at some of these other traditional positions. So to me, I always would say, yeah, I understand you put more value on an offensive tackle than a tight end. Mm-hmm. But in this particular draft, I'm not going to take an average tackle over a premier tight end. So that's part of the decision process. You
and Bucky had a fascinating discussion about first round grades versus second round grades and how teams come up with that. How would you, can you just go ahead and just give us a small sample?
Yeah, there's different grading scales that people use. Some people use a round grading scale where they're talking about this is a high first round player, third round player. And then teams I worked for, we didn't do rounds. We did it by a grading scale, and it was based off of their role. So this is an immediate starter, eventual starter, potential starter, backup player, role player, practice squad player, like those things. So when you say the grade, I could then correlate it to that, what his role will be and what we envision him being. But I talked to a team, I talked to a general manager the other day that said they were a rounds team and they had 8 first round grades in this draft. Wow. So what that means is we're going to get to about the 12th pick, and you're going to see, and it's not just going to be on like my board or in some media person's board, you're going to see it reflected in all these draft rooms where you're going to have guys going with like the 14th pick that another team's going to have at 56. Like it's all this huge pool of guys with that similar grade. That's a lot of really traditional second round type players, to use that verbiage. And there's a bunch of them. So that's good from a depth standpoint, but not necessarily the best year to be picking in the top 10.
You're going to be in Green Bay?
Yes, I will be out there Sunday of draft week and be out there all week. So,
oh wow,
our set is just outside Lambeau, so it's going to be not too cold.
It's going to be something. Those are some diehard crazy fans out there. The league invites 15 players to the draft room?
They invited 17 this
17?
year, but I don't think they're all coming.
Who comes up with that list? Who decides?
That's from the league office. That's from the league office. So it used to be Gil Brandt before he passed away. He used to be in charge of that, Gil, because I would get calls from Gil on players and where do you think he's going to go and should we invite him or what have you. But I don't know if it's under Troy Vincent's control now, but yeah, it all comes through the league office.
I was just going to ask you, do they go through your mock draft and be like, all right, based on this,
I think they call teams. I think they canvas teams, handful of teams, and kind of get, we talked to 8 teams and 7 of the 8 said this kid's going to go in the first round. So let's invite him.
Oh man, that's okay. That's something else. All right. 3 quick questions. Mm-hmm. Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, can you just go ahead and just give me your thoughts on their skill set?
Yeah, to me, Cam Ward is the top guy. He's really talented. He's got a live arm. Everything he does has got a lot of twitch and juice to it. Like he's got pop in his arm. He can get it out quick. He's got quick hands. He can make every type of throw. He can layer the ball, over the second level and under the third level. He can drive the ball outside the numbers. He just got a little bit loose and a little bit aggressive at times. You'll see some cross-body throws, like some, to use that phrase, competitive arrogance. Like there's maybe that teeters a little bit over the line at times.
Okay.
So dialing that back, but to me, that's coachable. And he's got better at every stop from Incarnate Word to Washington State to Miami and really kind of carried that Miami team last year. Shedeur to me is more like a point guard, a distributor. That he doesn't have like a lot of overwhelming traits in terms of, doesn't have a huge arm. It's enough. Like he can make the throws you need to make, but he's not gonna be able to drive the ball outside the numbers with the same force that you see with Cam Ward. A lot of timing, anticipation, touch, those things that you like about him. But he held the ball a lot last year, took a lot of sacks. And I don't think he's going to be able to create a lot athletically at the next level. It's going to need good protection and then get in a system where he can see it and get the ball out. So that's the difference with those guys.
Is there a comparison that comes to mind of a current recent quarterback for Shedeur?
For Shedeur, I mean, you've heard, like the ultimate level of his style of quarterback is Joe Burrow, and he's not anywhere close to that. But that's the brand of football that he plays. I would say Brock Purdy plays that brand of football. So where it's just, they see things and then they're accurate, not going to overwhelm you with arm strength. But Brock Purdy's arm got stronger as he got to the NFL. And, that's maybe the hope there with Shedeur as well, that you continue to see him add and continue to grow and develop there. But that's the style of player I would say he is.
Is there a better feel-good story in the NFL than Josh Johnson? Josh Johnson is, I think he signed with Washington today. That guy it's remarkable, former USD kid. And he just, he finds a way.
Yeah. I remember liking him coming out, and Jim Harbaugh still raves about him.
He was the same draft as O'Connell, as Kevin O'Connell, who's now a head coach.
Because everybody was coming out to San Diego to see the two quarterbacks scouting wise. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, still going. I don't know what he has in his house, like if he has a basement or what have you, but I don't know how he has enough wall space for all the different jerseys that he's worn to hang that stuff up. Maybe just like a little patch. Maybe just take a little patch from all the jerseys. I love seeing him still playing or still giving it a shot. All right. Last guy I want to ask you about is Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure. I know that I think he was visiting the Steelers a little while ago. Do you expect him to play this year? And what do you see left? I'm not sure what you can judge from just the cup of coffee he had with the New York Jets. That was an absolute disaster over there. But yeah, he got a little better as the year went along. I think maybe a little further removed from the Achilles, but it's Pittsburgh or retire. And Pittsburgh's kind of put their eggs in that basket, especially I think Joe Flacco was a fallback candidate for them. And he just signed with Cleveland. So he's out. So, man, if he doesn't end up going to Pittsburgh, he has put the Steelers in a bad spot by not making that decision at this point in time. So they're in I wouldn't feel great about where things stand from a quarterback position right now in Pittsburgh, and I'm sure their fans would echo those sentiments.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's amazing. Flacco, Rodgers, you're the Steelers. You're waiting on those options.
But Mike Tomlin will find a way to they'll get over 500 because that's what he does.
He's never had a losing season. That's extraordinary. DJ, you're the man. Hopefully I'll see you at Petco Park today when the lineup comes out. Well, you'll get it. I'm sure someone inside will
I'm just looking for one name, Marty. That's it. Just looking for one name.
One name, Tatis.
Let's see if he's in there.
That's it. Oh gosh, if he's I know optimism. Mike Schultz, he could a pinch hit on Wednesday, play it safe. Yeah, Tatis is optimistic, but man, if he's out, they don't. This isn't like a couple of years ago when he was out and then suspended. There is no Juan Soto they're going to trade for. It's like these are the guys.
Here's to Ornelas, baby. That's what we're doing.
Oh, jeez, really, Connor Joe, come on up. Let's
go.
Come on. Hey, listen, they have Iggy Rosario in center field. So
is he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, he played.
Field now.
He played some center field.
That's a squatty center fielder.
Oh, dude, playing some center field in El Paso. I'm like, this is what are we doing here? Maybe you want to get that bat. Imagine you're out.
Tell you what, I do. I hope Cronenworth's okay, but Iglesias I didn't really pay attention to him during his baseball career. He's got a good glove in the infield.
I like him in the infield, and of course he was starting in left field in Sacramento. Imagine your outfield: Iglesias,
Eggy,
Rosario, Eggy, and then
then we put Hayward out and right, and then we're going
to Hayward, man. I don't know.
By the way, I've heard though. I think he's popped up to everybody in the infield already this year, but and it looks like he's got a massive hole in his swing. But I've heard from people, Hayward. But I've heard from the teams like he's been on that like he might be like the best teammate of all time.
They love him.
So I'm almost like, can he get a phantom injury? Can we get like a phantom IL stint for him? Be around the team, love to have you. Like just stay in the clubhouse and in the dugout and continue to pour into Jackson and some of these other guys. But man, that's a tough at bat.
I know. But then again, Nelson Cruz is very, very popular too.
Yeah. They eventually, that milk eventually expired.
That one.
We'll see what happens.
All right, DJ. You're the man. Thank you so much. Everyone, he has his podcast with Bucky Brooks is excellent at Move the Sticks. Follow him on Twitter. He has sound Padres advice. And listen, DJ, tell your pesky Dodgers fans to leave you alone.
No,
Andrew
I enjoy
Howard talking about you, Greg Rosenthal.
all of them. I enjoy the banter. It's fun. And I just, one more time, just give me 2022 one more time. I don't even care if we win the World Series. I just knock them out of the playoffs one more time and I'd be happy.
That'd be sweet. That'd be sweet.
Marty, we got to do this over the summer. Let's do this some more.
I'd love to. All right.
Okay.
Have a great day. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
So that was our friend Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network. He is awesome. He is a huge Padres fan, as you know. He's a lead NFL analyst for NFL Network, of course. And no one does the draft quite like DJ. You can check out his mock draft right now on NFL.com. All right, guys, it is a Friday. I'll be heading to Petco Park later on today. I'll catch up with you guys on Monday, but you can follow me on Twitter at Marty Caswell or on Instagram, Marty Caswell 619, or keep checking out my channel. I'll have the latest on Fernando Tatis Jr., hopefully some good news, Jake Cronenworth as well, and we'll see what happens versus the dreaded Colorado Rockies come this weekend. Of course, the Chicago Cubs, who took 2 out of 3 from the Padres, come in on Monday. So it could be very interesting. Hopefully it's a great weekend, guys. Let's see. The fog is finally lifting here on the coast. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. So stay safe, and I will talk to you on Monday. Bye. Thanks, DJ.